For the cake mixture, you'll need 100 grams or 4 ounces of softened butter or margarine, 100 grams, 4 ounces of caster sugar, 2 medium-sized eggs at room temperature, 100 grams, that's 4 ounces, of self-raising flour sifted, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. For the topping, you'll need 100 grams, that's 4 ounces, of softened butter, 225 grams, that's 8 ounces, of sifted icing sugar, and 50 grams, 2 ounces, that's about 6 medium-sized strawberries. You can use fresh or defrosted frozen ones. For the filling, you'll need 3 tablespoons of strawberry jam. To start, preheat your oven to 180 degrees centigrade, that's 350 Fahrenheit, gas mark 4. And as these are special Valentine cupcakes, I'm using these silicone heart-shaped moulds. You can use any mould or any paper casing, but place them on a baking tray and then you can proceed to make your cakes. I'm going to use the all-in-one cake method. That basically means putting the butter, caster sugar, self-raising flour, eggs and vanilla extract into a bowl and beating them together. It works quite well so long as the butter is very soft. I'm going to use my trusty hand electric whisk, but you can use a wooden spoon if you prefer, or you can use a pucker bowl electric mixer. Anyway, so you need to beat these together. I'm just going to soften this up a little until the batter is completely mixed and smooth. Just stop every once in a while to get any bits that have been missed, flour and sugar, from the edges. With a hand whisk like this, it'll only take a few minutes. So that literally took about 4 minutes. Possibly not even that long. It's all well blended, so now all we need to do is transfer to the prepared cupcake moulds or papers. And I'm going to just use a little spoon. Don't fill them too much. You need about 2/3 full, certainly no more. And just using the spatula, just plop the mixture into each case. You can always go back over if you have mixture left, but trying to get them out of an already filled case is a bit of a nightmare, so err on the side of caution. And then I'm going to just use the other end of the spoon just to even it out a little. It will find its own level in the oven, but might as well give it a helping hand. Especially when it comes to these shaped moulds. So once you've levelled them out a little, they need to go into the preheated oven for between 15 and 20 minutes until they're risen, golden brown and firm to the touch. After about 15 minutes, remove the cakes from the oven and just test to see whether they're done. As you can see, they should be golden and risen, and a good old-fashioned way of testing is with a wooden toothpick. Just into the centre of the cake, pull it out, and if it comes out cleanly, then you know that the mixture is cooked all the way through. Now you can leave these to get completely cold whilst they're still in the moulds, but I've found that if you unmould them whilst they're still warm, they tend to come out of the moulds much more easily. And then you can just leave them to cool completely before decorating them. The next thing you need to do is to make the strawberry buttercream. Now, you must make sure that the butter is very, very soft, otherwise mixing it is going to be a nightmare and will take you ages. If your butter isn't very soft, then pop it into the microwave just for 10 seconds and it will soften up, and then you can beat it around like I'm doing to make sure that it's completely soft with no hard bits. And the next thing you need to do is to add the strawberries. Now you need to puree them. I'm just going to pass mine through a sieve. I don't particularly like to have all the seeds, and this way you get a nice smooth puree. If you don't mind having the seeds, then you can just puree the strawberries with a handheld blender or something similar, or even just mash them with a fork. I don't think I'm going to get any more out of that. There is quite a lot of pulp left, but as I say, what's going into the bowl is enough to give it a good colour and flavour. So once that's done, just beat that into the butter a little bit. It'll be a bit difficult because trying to mix a water-based liquid with a fat-based mass is not the easiest thing to do, but just a little bit. You can cut it in. And then you need to sift in your icing sugar. I'm just going to put about 1/3 of it in to start with. And then you start beating it together. Don't go gung-ho to start with, because this sugar is so flyaway that you're likely to get it all over your kitchen. So go easily to start with. Then add a little more. And you're aiming to get quite a stiff butter so that it can be piped and hold its shape well. Now, depending on the juiciness of your strawberries, you may need a little bit more icing sugar. But until you've added it all, there's no way of saying for sure. So once you've beaten that very well and it's all well blended, you can just cover it with cling film until you're ready to decorate your cakes. Now before I finish my cupcakes off, I just want to say a brief word about how they rise. Now sometimes, often in fact, they rise in the middle to a peak, sometimes quite a large peak. Now depending on how you're going to ice or finish off your cupcake, it may not matter. The way I'm going to do it, it doesn't really matter. But if you want a nice flat surface, say for writing on, then just take a small serrated knife, hold it horizontally and just saw your way through. And that will give a much flatter surface. And this is what I call the baker's perk because I'm going to eat it. Yum. So for my cupcakes, I'm going to actually make them into something like a mini Victoria sponge, which is where the jam comes in. You need a slightly larger knife, serrated, and just saw through the middle. And there we have it. And then you get a little bit of jam on a small knife. You don't want too much. Just spread it evenly right to the edges. And then top with the other half. And once that's done, you can decorate the top. Place the buttercream in a piping bag or a tube with a nozzle of your choice. I'm actually using this handy little gadget because my piping skills aren't fantastic, and this way I can just really concentrate with both hands or just one hand. So let's start here. Sometimes they don't want to stay on, but just manoeuvre it around. Doesn't have to be perfect. Be bold. If you make a mess of it, you can always just scrape the buttercream off and start again. And there's the finished article. Strawberry Valentine cupcakes.